What's up, folks? Welcome back to TacticalTortoise. My name is Trevi, and I feel like they need no introduction at this point with the amount of times that we've talked about Snot Goblin Gaming on this channel. But if for whatever reason you haven't heard about them, Snot Goblin Gaming is the producer of incredibly modular and innovative Warhammer 40k and other tabletop wargaming terrain designs. They've run several Kickstarters in the past for their modular ruin terrain, and in this case, we're going to talk about something incredibly special. Fully painted ruins based on their modular ruin sets, but that come with a proprietary printing method, with your ruins coming fully painted in full color without interfering at all with their assembly process. Now, I've talked about and teased these on the channel before, but this is probably one of the most impressive innovations in tabletop gaming in a really long time. If you look, these are pieces of modular ruin terrain, and they come pre-printed with multi-color painting on the feature itself. That's insane. Let's dive into it and talk about Snot Goblin Gaming's upcoming Kickstarter that they're going to be running starting on November 5th. So Snot Goblin Gaming was kind enough to send me a couple of different color schemes from their new printing process for review. And I have to say that these are incredibly impressive looking at them in person. Now, I will give a little bit of a caveat here. These are prototypes, so they may not appear exactly as they will on the final product. I know that there have been on these versions a couple of very minor errors made that will be corrected. So if anything, they are going to look better when the final product is available. But I do think it's a caveat that is important to note. Now, here we have a ruined Imperial City version, as well as a jungle ruin variety as well. These are the same pieces, but as you can see, this printing process allows during the manufacturing process for these two pieces to receive wildly different paint schemes, which looks super sick. And to be fair, these are, hopefully the camera focuses correctly on these, a higher level of fidelity than I think you would be reasonably expected or able to achieve with a paintbrush. I'm not going to say this isn't possible. We've all seen Golden Demons, but this printing is going to do it faster and easier than a human will, and you can get an entire table painted up like this without any additional hassle, which is enormous. And the upgrade to get the printed version is actually not that expensive, which we'll talk about later. Now, I've assembled Snot Goblin's terrain sets so many times on this channel that I don't know, I can do it in my sleep. But also, one thing that I do note every time we do talk about Snot Goblin Gaming is that when painting these terrain features, it's always important to keep track of these little tabs. Because the little tabs, one thing that I've experienced with them is that if you paint them and you put a lot of primer and you paint, you know, big sloppy dollops of paint on them, they are difficult to assemble and disassemble at that point. Now, a lot of people are going to assemble these ruins and probably not take them apart. They're just going to build out the ruins to whatever layout that they want, whether they're playing a competitive layout like WTC or US Open, which these terrain kits are entirely compatible with, or they're just doing it to build out what they like. A lot of people won't take them apart and they will just paint them assembled. But one thing that can happen is that they can bind a little bit when you're putting them together. This printing process does not have that problem. However, these tabs are not painted. There is no paint-to-paint contact during this process. These are going to fit together exactly as easily as if they were not painted whatsoever. And I know that that is a sticking point, no pun intended, for a lot of these modular terrain designs. It is easy to put them together, but once they are together, they kind of stay that way. And that is certainly not the case for these printed varieties. Now, as always, the assembly process is incredibly simple. I can refer you to many of my other Snot Goblin Gaming unboxings and reviews if you want to see this entire system assembled in its entirety. But what I do want to point out as well are the additional printed details on the base plates and the sort of accessory pieces as well. This is meant to be on what is sort of an Imperial-esque shrine world, and so these have a lot of kind of gold highlights and edging. We have the same designs on the second level constructs as well, and we can also even see a similar level of detail applied to the smaller ruin pieces that are meant to kind of edge out the building too. So you'll go through that process, construct the entirety of the building. There are corner pieces to construct out the building, so we can build a couple of walls onto that thing. I have a whole unboxing video for a full terrain set. I talk about everything that comes in a full table set. If you want to watch me assemble a full building there and actually see how the process works, you can go check that video out. I won't do that here in its entirety because what I want to do is show you the second terrain set, which, to be honest, probably because of the theming of my channel and also my favorite color, I'm sure you can't guess what it is. This jungle terrain set, which is meant to represent what is kind of an overgrown Death World style of ruin. And these are, in my opinion, maybe more impressive. I'm sure there is a little bit of bias there, but the thing I like about the design of the tiles, first of all, each of the individual panels is independently detailed. They have designs imprinted on the stone to showcase how impressive this 3D printing process is. And I say that not as if these are 3D printed. These are injection molded plastic. They are ridiculously robust, but I mean its ability to print on the three-dimensional surface. Inside the separations between each of the stones, they have a little bit of mossy texture, as if the ruin has been overgrown by Mother Nature here. Inky approves as well, so that's good. So all of these are printed on exactly the same pieces, so they all assemble in the way that we literally just described. We have these separator pieces as well as the wall pieces that will go together. And then we can also attach multiple floors and chain out these base plates on them as well. But as you can see, on top of what is otherwise exactly the same terrain piece, Snot Goblin's been able to create a wide variety of different color schemes that are available for you. Again, all of this comes pre-painted. The assembly process literally only requires that you push fit all of these things together. You can glue them if you want. It is definitely not required. These are, they do not come apart super easily. Obviously, with some leverage, you can take them apart if you need to, but during the normal course of play in a game of Warhammer 40k, for example, unless you're gesticulating wildly, which I tend to do, which is a little problematic, so watch these things near me, I guess, they will not come apart unless you are throwing them at each other, which I don't recommend you do because they will take an eye out and maybe leave a concussion. Now, where can you go to get these? Currently, as I said before, these are prototype units, so these are currently unavailable, but will be available on Kickstarter starting November 5th. There is a link in the video description to the Snot Goblin Gaming's website to prepare for the Kickstarter. If you use that link, you'll receive additional money off a pledge of a full table set. You'll get $80 off the full tables terrain set. That normally MSRP is for $300, so you get it for $220 USD, which is incredible. And you will also get $50 off the printed version. Normally, the full printed terrain set, enough to build out basically any US Open map layout or WTC map layout on a single table. If you use that link, you will basically get somewhere around 30% off, which is an insane amount of savings. So go check them out on their Kickstarter campaign, link down in the video description starting November 5th. Thanks for watching all the way to the video. Thanks to Snot Goblin Gaming for sponsoring this video. Remember to keep it classy, folks, and have happy wargaming.